Hello, listeners, and welcome. I'm your host, Bryan O'Rourke, and today on the pod, we have Vic Kurs, who's the Senior Technology Advisor I was saying the word Qodeca, our friends out of Poland. Great to see you, Vic. How are you?
Hi, Brian. It is a pleasure to be here.
I
I'm
always
re-
loved seeing your team and everything. And you just got back from Dubai a few weeks ago, right?
yes, indeed. We've went to the Dubai Active Industry Show, a couple of really intensive days, and it is great to see how the industry is growing and expanding over there. So it was a great show, and right now we are focused just to close off the year, as most probably many companies are. And then looking forward to the next year and then other events that are upcoming.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you at least in Cologne, if not sooner. That'll be a great time. Look, you've done a lot of work in the last few years, especially with Perfect Gym before you got here at Qodeca. And I know you started out in aviation and engineering. What got you into technology and fitness? Tell us what your interest was in tech and fit in the fitness space.
Yeah, so sports in general was a big part of my life since I was a kid. I used to play for the school's basketball team, and then afterwards, when I was studying, I was a regular visitor to the gym. And after my studies in aviation and a couple of years working in the airport, I actually realized that I want to make a change in my career, like a shift. And IT was something where I saw a big potential and future. So I decided to combine these two, I would say, interests: fitness, sport, and IT. And that's how I got into Perfect Gym back in the days. And that's where my journey started in the fitness industry, but on the IT side of it.
That's a wonderful story, and I know you're doing a lot of work. Now, for those that have listened to the pod, you may have heard of these in the last couple speeches I've done. I talk a lot about technology. I have for years. And, I tell people things like, you better know your tech stack. And I tell them things like, have you read your ULA? Have you read your user license agreement? So few people really have. You know, dealing with this firsthand, this kind of pull and tug that these fitness businesses, especially some chains, are really face when it comes to legacy technologies, silos, of not knowing how to apply the tech, making it make financial sense to make investments. There are many, many things that I know you deal with on the daily, right? What would you describe some of the biggest challenges you see in technology right now with those kind of customers?
Um, I would like to answer this question. And by the way, this is a great question, but I would like to answer it on behalf of the club operators or from their how their day-to-day work looks like. And to be honest, working with all of the different chains around the globe, US, Europe, Middle East, from smaller ones to one of the biggest ones, a certain pattern that is very clearly visible to us is that most chains we see don't have a technology strategy. They have a collection of purchases, which means there is a new shining tool out there on the market, and they are the ones to purchase it and implement it and hope that it will resolve their issues or inefficiencies in the operations. Whereas, to our opinion, we believe that the golden middle is somewhere in between the off-the-shelf products that are available on the market and custom integrations or like hubs that would link all of the platforms together. And unfortunately, until now, you see a lot of businesses having 10 to 15, sometimes even 20 different tools, Those are not integrated, those are not synchronized, and as a result, they don't utilize even half of the potential of those tools. So that's why we believe that this is exactly how chains may be wasting money on technology. It's because they hope that the tool would work on its own, whereas it is not. It has never been the case. It has to be implemented correctly. It has to be used in a correct way. But even if we take a step back, before the purchase, there should be a proper assessment process in place. Do we really need that tool? Do we have other tools in place that kind of duplicate the same functionality or a feature set? Should we actually purchase it? And lack of such mindset or lack of such approach in many cases results that businesses waste sometimes even millions a year on tools that are not being utilized to the full extent, duplicate each other, and very often it actually creates even more work inefficiencies and issues in day-to-day operations.
Do you think, Vic, do you think that some of that, and I know this is a complex conversation, so I don't want to make it overly simplified, but do you think that that's a little bit of high degrees of focus on short-term effect versus more long-term thinking on the business? Is that part of this in your view?
Yes, exactly. And in many cases, operators, they don't have a digital strategy. Or their digital strategy is for the next 3 to 6 months, certain projects they want to execute to fix a gap here or a gap there. But there is a noticeable gap in the industry when it comes to a systematic approach to such topics. I would say the lack of strategy results in those in the wrong purchases and leads to misuse of the technology. So I fully agree with you that the digital strategy, or lack of it, in fact, does drive a lot of these issues.
Another thing I know is in the US in particular, I know this exists in lots of places and in other industries too. Tell me about the barrier of switching costs, because you have these kind of sunk cost investments where a firm has been using a certain CRM for a decade or more, right? And inherently that system is a legacy technology that you've got to move away from, but the client will fight like hell to do it because it's too painful to make the change. Is that another thing, those switching costs, kind of economic thinking?
Switching costs, it's one element, but to be honest, in many cases, switching gym management software will not even resolve the pain points that the business is experiencing, because in most cases, gym management software fulfills 80 to 90% of the needs of an operator. Any gym management software. I'm not naming the brands here, but take any, and most probably it will not fulfill 100%. So if the club operator would decide to switch from one gym management software to another gym management software, it will not remove the missing 10 or 15%. Those pain points, they will change to something else, but they will remain. So in many cases, there is this fear that prevents the operators from taking the situation under their control, and they act just to keep the business running, keep it profitable, rather than focusing specifically on the 10 to 20% that are missing. Because a lot of work that we do, it's actually connecting different tools and integrating the gym management software with either custom-made tools or those that are already out there on the market. So for the end user, for our customer, is to make the system, the entire ecosystem or the tech stack, cover 100% of the needs without replacing the core, the gym management software. As a result, the cost of change that everyone is so much afraid of, it's not there.
Yeah. It's great observation. Great observation. You don't know what you don't know, right? That's people don't know what they don't know. And now, and I know a little bit about this. I'm curious to get your perspective when we're looking at the whole dynamic of technology in this industry space and the kind of challenges. And by the way, this isn't the only industry, as you well know, that faces these conundrums. And now you hear everybody every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's AI this, AI that, AI this, AI that. But isn't it true that unless you have a certain baseline of data in a certain construct that you can actually tap into, that using those tools it's not as good. Tell me about those challenges. Do you have some clients right now trying to figure out what do we need to do about AI, and how does this relate to it now? Because you already had the challenges before, but now you have a whole other set of challenges that people are dealing with.
Yeah, when it comes to AI, it's insanely popular topic right now, and a lot of businesses understand that they need to do something about it, but they at the same time they don't they don't know and how to implement it in the right way. But before any business moves into the AI space, it is absolutely crucial to fix the basics and to put that right. Because if you don't have the infrastructure set up correctly, if your data is flying around from one system to another and none of that system shows the numbers don't match in those systems, so there is some bugs and or even lack of integrations, the AI won't work. It just won't work correctly. And maybe you noticed when you use ChatGPT or Claude or any other, if you provide very, let's say, simple and weak request, most probably the outcome would be even worse. I mean, it would be a bunch of nonsense. And in business space, it's even more important to have the infrastructure set correctly, because only then the AI would become useful. There are plenty of ways how AI could be utilized, starting from something really quick, simple, and cheap, like scanning of documents and highlighting the errors before it actually goes into the management or to the finance department, to something that is really complex, that involves custom trainings and nutrition plans and all that different stuff. But it still all comes down to the absolute must to have the infrastructure set up correctly, and only then there is space to talk about AI and the potential of it. But also, one important note that I want to mention here is that a lot of people actually confuse AI with automation.
Yes.
In a lot of cases, people come to us and they ask, "Hey guys, can you build this AI tool that would do X and Y?" And after listening to their requirements, we understand that AI is not even needed here. There are a lot of automation platforms that can deliver such process, and we don't even have to create. It's just clicking through, configuring the automation correctly, a few days of work, and the automation is delivered, and it does exactly what the customer needs without even going into the AI space. So there is also I would say educational element here that we are doing every time we're talking to a new customer, and we're collecting the requirements or needs of the new customer. We always dive really deep with research to the core to understand what is the best tool, what is the best technology that could be utilized to deliver the solution, but at the same time to make it as cost effective as possible.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. So when you see all these challenges, and there are many of them, as you've described and we've talked about, where are the biggest opportunities? Like how, if I was your client, and I have a chain of gyms, and I want to better operate my gyms, and I want to better understand what's happening, so I can make better decisions. So I want to do these things. I want to automate things to maybe improve service. I have a series of things. Where are those opportunities? How would you approach that process in the way you do it and assess it?
So the advice that I would give is, before you sign the next big tech contract, spend a small fraction of that cost, that to really understand what already you have right now in your tech stack. So such assessment, the tech assessment that we are talking about here today, it is a must have as a starting point for every gym chain to move forward with future digital or technology projects. Because without understanding what you have today, it's really hard to make the right decision about the future purchases of new apps, new CRMs, or new AI tools in place. So as a starting point, it would be ideal for every business to conduct a company-wide audit or assessment to map all the processes with all the tools that are in place, just to understand what solutions are already being in use by which departments, and to understand, are those even utilized to 100%? Is there any potential to develop and to grow our tools that are already in place? And do we really need to get that another expensive and shiny app into our portfolio? And as a result of such exercise, there are two outcomes usually that we see. Those are so-called low-hanging fruits, some things that could be fixed very quickly within a month, up to 3 months, whether it's some small custom integrations or custom tools that have to be built to link all of those elements together. Or the other deliverable, usually it's the long-term digital strategy. It could be 12, 24, 36 months that would also take into consideration the scaling plans of the business, geographies where the business wants to grow, and put it all into one roadmap and into one timeline that would very clearly communicate what has to happen when, in order to support such scale, such growth, effectively and efficiently with the help of technology, without purchasing another 10 different solutions from the market.
Yeah, it is amazing, because what you described is what I see out there all day long. And it's been like that for a while now. I mean, even in single operating facilities, I've seen 12 SaaS solutions being used to run the business. And it's, well, good Lord, how do these people do all this stuff? I mean, it's really a lot. And so I guess, and I've seen this as well. I don't know, Vic, if this is your experience, but I think people would be generally surprised at the number of chains, or even regional chains, that don't have a tech roadmap. It's pretty much kind of it's like you said, it's a description or kind of a decision-making process where the latest shiny object is chosen to fix something, without as much effort being put in to really understand what the options are, what the existing tech stack is doing or not doing, et cetera. Do you think, putting AI aside for a minute, but really talking about, I mean, do you, as a practical matter, because I don't think you're a silver bullet kind of guy, if you know what I mean, what do you see SaaS coming under pressure in the years ahead? Because there are so many of these systems that are SaaSes, and a lot of these chains turn around and they're spending these monthly fees, and they don't really even understand what the bang for the buck is. And given that there's these data lake houses with structured and unstructured data with agentic AI sitting on top of it, do you see that happening and impacting the business in the next 5 years or more? Or what are your thoughts on that?
I think it will definitely affect those that prefer to stay closed, that don't provide APIs, that are following, let's say, Apple's strategy to keep everything in their own ecosystem. Sooner or later, this would kick them really hard, such strategy and such approach. Because what we see right now is that um, there is a lot of demand on the market for a lot of different tools. So the same operator wants to have app, or let's say from the big, if we're talking about the bigger ones, they want their own app. In order to build their own application, that application should be connected to gym management software. That application should be connected to PT scheduling platform, to CRM most probably, and to a bunch of different marketing tools. If any of these platforms don't want to integrate or make it really difficult to integrate, then that would be a strategic decision. What is more important? Is it more important to stay with that vendor, or is it more important for us to have our own app and provide our members with the experience that we want to give them? And my blind guess would be the app will win, because right now to build a mobile application, it's not as expensive as it was years ago. You have a lot of tools that are, a lot of them are AI driven for developers, that speed up the development process so fast that a good looking app can be created within a couple of months of work, that would have a lot of really strong features, and that would provide the customer journey based on the vision of the gym brand. And then that mobile application must be connected to all of those systems. Then additionally, you have the reporting. It's been a constant problem, for a lot of operators, the lack of synchronization between different platforms, and willingness to get out of standard reporting tools that they have, that are provided by the gym management provider, and have either something that is built on their own, or implemented or use the third-party reporting tools that are out there on the market. Again, if you don't provide the data to that business, if you don't allow to pull the data outside of the system and use external reporting tools, then the same question: what do we do about it? We really want to have our own reports. We want to be a data-driven company, and to make the right decisions. We need the data for that. So we need that data. So that's why I've said in the very beginning, answering your question, that I see that SaaS. I don't see. Let me rephrase it. Sorry, I don't see SaaS being under threat. That everyone will suddenly build their own systems and platforms, and have internal IT departments that are maintaining all of that. But at the same time, all the legacy companies that are out there, or vendors, they should think about the next 5 to 10 years, which means openness, which means readiness for integrations, and supporting the needs and the vision of their customers. If the club operator wants to implement a new member journey on the website, and in the website there should be right API endpoints, so that companies like us or any other could build that custom journey on the website or on the mobile application.
Yes, that's exactly right. And as you know better than this, and sorry, listeners, we're going to get a little technical. Not all APIs and openness are the same, right? And then what some of these players do is they're trying to execute a moat strategy. So what they're charging for the API calls is another dynamic that's an economic, right?
Yeah, that's sometimes it's it can get even very expensive, and that just creates another reason for operators to start looking around in the market for the new players and considering switching, because it's the times when all of the digital products were provided by one company, they're gone, or at least we are in this process of those times moving away into the history. More and more fitness chains right now, those are more digital brands than fitness brands. And I'm not talking necessarily about having dozens of IT guys on the payroll. No, it's not the case. It's just that online sales, online journey, custom experience in the mobile application, and all of that has to be facilitated and supported by the third-party platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's where that's where experience is gone. And if you don't deliver, and as you know, I mean, I haven't seen the stats yet for this year, even mobile app adoption for facilities is really not as high. People, I mean, customers, they may have utilization rates of less than 10% on average for a lot of the mobile apps around the world that are tied to gym chains, because the UX on those things is horrible. I mean, it really, in many cases, it's horrible. People will, this because you're in the business, they'll use it for the check-in, right? For the key fob check-in, and that's it. And so, to your point, if people expect to have a deft integration with their digital cells with their clubs, and that's like table stakes. So if that's too hard to do, you've got to start asking yourself why, and right? I mean, because that's what people expect today.
Yes, exactly. And a lot of providers, they're saying that they will deliver the white label mobile app, but the only white labeling that they're doing is replacing the logo in the App Store. But the experience looks exactly the same as in hundreds of others of those of users or customers of that particular mobile application. And today we are all used to the mobile apps. We used to the experience there, whether it's private life or business. It doesn't matter. We use our phones a lot of hours in the day, unfortunately. But mobile application, it's in fact continuation of the brand. It's the tool through which you want to communicate with your members. You want to push your messages. You want to keep in touch. You want to build this society, or like the social element of it, whether it's between trainers and members or between the brand and the members. And as you've said, if the only functionality that the app has is just the QR code to check in, then the question raises, what is the value added to the brand of that mobile application? What are the brands even paying for? And usually those are thousands of dollars a month just to have that app and using it. So it's if you look, and if we talk into numbers, if we take an average subscription for the mobile application multiplied by number of clubs or number of users and then multiplied by a few years, it's a massive budget. With that budget, you can build your own mobile application that would have everything that your team, your leadership team, envisions and wants to have and wants to deliver to the members. The ROI of that mobile application would most probably be anywhere from 1 year to 3 years. And afterwards, maintenance is not that much. To maintain the mobile application, we're really talking about hundreds of dollars per month just to maintain it, if not to continuously develop it, of course. But so there is, but costing of this is a separate topic. But today, as I've mentioned once already, today with all the tools in place, software development, it's not as expensive as it was before. You don't need teams of 30 people to sit full time for a few months or maybe even for a few years to roll out a good product. It's much more efficient, much faster, and as a result, much cheaper. And especially if the larger gym chain has products on subscription basis, then it's just a mathematical exercise. How fast would that custom development pay itself and return itself, and whether it's worth investing into it?
Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. Well, Vic, by the way, listeners, Qodeca, we're going to have a link to their website in the show notes, and also to Vic and the team, so that you can connect with him on LinkedIn and follow some of his adventures around the world with the Qodeca team. Thanks again for joining us, Vic. I always ask a guest at the end of the pod interview to share pearls of wisdom. Given your experience, the number of implementations you've been through, the number of technology implementations you've been a part of in the fitness space, and just in life in general, are there a couple of points, one or two or three points you might want to share as pearls of wisdom for the audience, Vic?
Yeah, so I think I think the question that I want to leave at the very end over here is, what can a club executive do next week after listening this to this podcast? And I want to share a couple of steps actually that would conclude that exercise. And the first one would be map all of the systems that are in place right now on one page. And then sit down as a second step, sit down with your team and ask every representative of every department where Excel is being still used outside of these systems that are on the list, on the map. And then try to quantify the hours, those things that no one actually focuses on. How many hours do people spend on Excel rather than doing something in the systems? And because there is no integration, they are forced to use Excel. Quantify that. Collect the hours, multiply by number of days, multiply by number of weeks, and you'll get a number which is usually very significant. And then at the very end, ask yourself a question after doing that exercise. Is it worth doing a tech assessment and investing just so much compared to the amount you will get after that exercise, and getting and starting the process of getting our infrastructure right, and developing the digital strategy for the future years, and making sure that the teams are really utilizing those tools that are either purchased already or will be purchased in the future.
That's a great point. I think that's a very thoughtful exercise that I would also recommend everyone that's asking themselves that question should do. That's a great value in that advice, Vic. Thanks so much, Vic. Thanks for your organization, being a part of FITSE, and also thanks for all the work you're doing. I look forward to seeing you here in Germany, if not sooner, in April.
Thank you, Bryan. It was a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to see you soon as well. Thank you.
Bye.